In 1996, a 17-year-old girl named Kellyanne Bates fell in love with a man twice her age. His name was James Patterson Smith, and to the outside world, their relationship looked strange but harmless. But behind closed doors, something horrifying was happening. For 4 weeks, she was subjected to unimaginable torture inside Smith's home in Manchester, England. By the time people discovered the truth, the brutality shocked even the most experienced investigators. This is the story of manipulation, control, and a crime so cruel that it left an entire country shocked. Kelly Ann Bates was a 17-year-old girl from Greater Manchester. Not much is publicly confirmed about her private life, but she lived with her parents before her relationship with James Patterson Smith began. Like many teenagers her age, Kellyanne was still figuring out life and relationships. She had dreams for her future and was known for being kind hearted, though sometimes a little naive. Her parents cared deeply about her and tried to protect her as she grew older. But in 1996, Kelly Ann became involved with a man far older than her, a relationship that would soon worry the people closest to her and ultimately lead to one of the most horrifying crimes the UK had ever seen. James Patterson Smith was an unemployed divorcee living in the Gordon area of Manchester. To people who knew him casually, he appeared house proud and well groomed. He did not drink alcohol and did not smoke, which made him seem on the surface like a controlled and ordinary man. But behind that image was a long history of violence behind his personal relationships. His marriage ended in 1980 after 10 years, following reports that he had been physically violent toward his wife. After the divorce, he entered another relationship with a 20-year-old woman, Tina Watson. Between 1980 and 1982, she described being repeatedly abused by him, saying the violence escalated over time from minor incidents to daily beatings. She said, "At first, it was now and again, just a little tap. But in the end, it was every day. He would smack me in the face or hit me over the head with an ashtray. He would kick me in the legs or between the legs." She also said she'd been struck with objects and suffered severe physical assaults while pregnant. Tina eventually managed to escape the relationship, during which Smith had also allegedly attempted to drown her. After that relationship ended, Smith began seeing another teenage girl, whom he also abused, including an incident where he tried to drown her in a kitchen sink. Years later, in 1993, Smith began grooming 14-year-old Kelly Ann Bates after meeting her while she was babysitting. Around 2 years later, after she left school, she moved in with him at his home in Gordon. By this time, she was hiding the relationship and the age gap from her parents. Her family quickly grew concerned. Her mother later said that when she met Smith, she felt uneasy and that she had tried everything she could to separate her daughter from him. Although Kelly left him briefly due to arguments, she later returned to live with him again. Her family started noticing bruises on her, but she always explained them away as accidents. She became increasingly distant, resigned from her part-time job, and cut off normal contact with her family. By 1996, her parents were receiving messages that appeared to be from her, but they were actually written by Smith. When family members tried to visit, they were told she wasn't home. On one occasion, a concerned neighbor was briefly shown Kelly Ann at an upstairs window when they worriedly asked after her. By this point, Kelly Ann was almost completely under Smith's control, cut off from the outside world and hidden from those who cared about her. On 16 April 1996, James Patterson Smith contacted authorities, claiming that Kelly Ann Bates had died accidentally during an argument in a bathtub. He stated that she had inhaled water and died while he tried to resuscitate her. He also claimed she liked to pretend to be unconscious. When police arrived at his home, they made a horrifying discovery. Inside the house, they found the naked body of Kelly Ann, in a bedroom. There were signs of blood throughout the property, indicating that the violence hadn't been isolated to a single location. A post-mortem examination revealed over 150 separate injuries on her body. During the final moment of her life, she had been restrained repeatedly, at times tied to furniture or a radiator, and at other times bound using her own hair or a ligature around her neck. The severity of the injuries also deeply disturbed medical professionals. William Lawler, the Home Office pathologist who examined the body, stated, "In my career, I have examined almost 600 victims of homicide, but I have never come across injuries so extensive." The injuries recorded included severe scalding to her backside and leg, burns caused by a hot iron on her thigh, a fractured arm, multiple stab wounds from sharp objects on her and inside her mouth, and extensive trauma to the body, including the face and head. She had also suffered severe mutilation, including damage to her eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and genitalia. Medical findings later confirmed that her eyes had been removed days or weeks before her death, and her eye sockets had been stabbed multiple times. She had been scalped, which means a part of her scalp along with her hair had been ripped out. She had also been starved, having lost 20 kg, and had gone without water in the final days of her life. The attack was not a single moment of rage, but a sustained period of extreme abuse and torture. The official cause of death was drowning, which occurred shortly after she had been beaten in the head with a shower head. During the investigation and later in court, James Patterson Smith, who I forgot to mention earlier, was 49 years old, refused to take responsibility for murder. He claimed Kellyanne would put him through hell by winding him up. He also alleged that she had taunted him about his dead mother, and that she had a bad habit of injuring herself in ways that made him look guilty. When questioned about the extreme violence she suffered and why she had been blinded, stabbed, and beaten, Smith claimed that she had dared him to harm her and was challenging him to do it. However, psychiatric evidence presented in court gave a very different picture. A consultant psychiatrist described Smith as suffering from a severe paranoid disorder with morbid jealousy, stating that he lived in a distorted version of reality. At Manchester Crown Court, the jury took only 1 hour to reach a verdict. The 49-year-old James Patterson Smith was found guilty of the murder of Kellyanne Bates. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, with the judge recommending a minimum term of 20 years. The judge described the case as a terrible catalogue of depravity by one human being upon another, calling Smith a highly dangerous man and stating that he intended as far as possible to ensure he would never abuse again. The case of Kellyanne Bates remains one of the most disturbing examples of prolonged abuse and hidden violence in modern British crime history. What makes it even more heartbreaking is how much of it happened in plain sight, with warning signs that were noticed but never fully acted on in time. By the moment investigators finally uncovered the truth inside the home of James Patterson Smith, the damage had already been done beyond repair. This case is a reminder of how isolation, control, and manipulation can silence someone until there is no way back. Behind closed doors, the reality can be very different from what the outside world is allowed to see. In the end, he was sentenced to life imprisonment, but no sentence can ever erase what happened to Kellyanne Bates.